Alright, hello everyone, Dr. D here, and today we are doing Dr. D's DDR Checkup, Episode 2. The topic of today's checkup is going to be foot technique, and I'm going to have special guest, Karl with a K, coming on to join us later. So I guess first and foremost, let's get a sound check. If you're watching in the chat right now, please confirm that you're hearing me coming through loud and clear through these crystal clear airways. And as long as that's good, we're just going to jump right into today's topic, which I'm very excited to cover. Alright, let's see. We got the King in the chat. We got Carl Kim. We got Vincent. How's it going? Welcome everyone. And for those who are not watching live, feel free to skip ahead to the parts that you feel are going to help you out the most. But like I said, we're starting now, and the topic is foot technique. So I guess we can start by saying that in the DDR for Dummies series that I did 3 years ago, I never covered this topic. There were a lot of topics I got to, but there was a few that I never did. And one of them was this, foot technique. So this is brand new, even if you never watched my DDR for Dummies series. And part of the reason why I didn't do it at the time was I was pretty lazy. I didn't really want to go too much into you know, really getting the images and videos together and like breaking it down. But you know, today we're gonna fix that. So I got several images that I'm gonna share with you all. I have several videos that we're going to look at, and we're going to be talking about foot technique. What is good foot technique? How can you get better at it? How can you minimize your movements? How can you conserve your energy? How can you actuate the sensor with the least amount of force to, once again, conserve energy? All of these are going to be the topics that I'm going to be addressing in today's episode. And I also decided that for this episode, I'm going to directly talk to you about the topic first before we bring on the special guest. I feel that's going to help out the flow a lot. Alright, so let's get started with a new terminology. And I thought it would be pretty interesting to do kind of a crossover with DDR and the sport of boxing. Yes, that's right. I said boxing. Now, we're going to borrow something from boxing that I think really can apply to DDR. And I've never said this until now. So let's take a look. Okay. So, for the reason why we're going to use boxing is because of this image right here. In the sport of boxing, there's two stances that are the most common, and that is the Orthodox Stance and the Southpaw Stance. When you are boxing, if you are facing with your right foot towards your right foot forward, this is considered Southpaw, and this is mostly used by left-handed boxers. The opposite is the Orthodox, which is most common. The most common stance in boxing or MMA is the Orthodox Stance. That is leading with your left foot forward and standing with your dominant hand being your right hand. So these are the two stances, and if you were here, we can call that the neutral position. So the reason why I want to cross this over is because I feel that we can borrow this terminology when we're talking about DDR. Let's take a look. Notice how in the Southpaw Stance, the feet are angled. They're not facing perpendicular or straight ahead. They're not exactly 45 degrees, but there's absolutely some kind of angle that goes along with this stance. Likewise, the Orthodox is just the mirrored version, with the left foot over there. Now, if we translated this into DDR, you can consider your right foot kind of being hovering between the up arrow and the left arrow, while your left leg is hovering between the down arrow and the left arrow. And I would like to say right here, right now, that in general, and from most top tier players that I watch playing, including myself and even average or intermediate players, we are generally in the southpaw position. So henceforward, I will be referring to this as the southpaw position. So when you are playing DDR, in general, I would say 70% or more of the time you are in a southpaw position. Of course, some songs require you to go orthodox, and yet some songs are going to be in a more neutral position. However, assuming you're right-handed and right-footed like I am and the majority of people in the world, the southpaw position is something that you have to master, and that is this kind of technique. Alright, I can show another graph. So here's another way to visualize it with actually someone standing. So yeah, that's the boxers. But you can notice that the southpaw, the right foot is forward, the left leg is in the back. Of course, the stance is a little bit too wide for DDR purposes, but I just wanted to give you the visualization. So orthodox, left foot leading forward, hovering over the up and left, with the right foot over the down and right. Southpaw, the right foot over the up and right, the left foot over the down and left. And just to hammer it home, here's one final image that I thought I would share. And here we can see, once again, we have the southpaw with the right foot in the upright position, left foot in the down left, with the orthodox being the mirrored version. All right, so I just wanted to get this out of the way so that we can get the terminology down. So southpaw, I want you to remember that your right foot is in the lead. So with that out of the way, I wanted to analyze some of the what would be considered the best and most elite players in this game. And I think that'll kind of give us a pretty good idea about how they utilize this stance and when do they break it, why do they break it, and so forth. The one that I want to start with is, I think it was this one. No, it was not that one. It was not that one either. Alright, third time's a charm. Ah, yes, it was this one. So the first one we're going to look at today is Hibiki. This is his world record on Paranoia Revolution Challenge. And he has a pretty good prominent foot cam that we can look at. Yeah, it's kind of upside down. It takes you a minute or two to wrap your head around what's going on here. But overall, it's a pretty good cam that we can analyze. So I want you guys to take a look at his positions. Right now, he is standing in a neutral position. A neutral position is predominantly your feet are in the center panel, not actuating any of the sensors, and you're getting prepared. And as the song progresses, you'll see what kind of positions that he's going to utilize. So the jump patterns are fine and all. And this is where I wanted to bring up one thing. So it's key to know that when you are in the southpaw position, you have to be careful not to actuate the sensors you don't want. So even though we are leaning, okay, here's a good example right here. So he's angled over here in the southpaw. But you can see that since he has to hit the right arrow, he's being careful not to accidentally trigger the up arrow. Now, a lot of players, they will get pad goods or, pad misses or, pad greats or something like that. But honestly, I'm going to be 100% honest here. And this is going to be a different topic I cover in the future. And that is owning your own mistakes. You have to know when it's, yes, sure, the pads do mess up from time to time. I'm not saying they don't. But I would like to say that a lot of times when people think that they are, if you took a step back and you analyzed it, especially if you have a video and you took a look back at it, there's plenty of times where I thought, you know what, for sure I got a pad good. But you know what really happened? What really happened is I hit the right arrow, but I accidentally triggered the up arrow with my toes. So that is what you have to be careful about. And Hibiki does this part excellently. So he does this entire section perfectly. He makes sure that he's not accidentally triggering. Like when he's hitting the up, he's not going to trigger there. So when you're hitting the up and you're doing a jump, you're making sure your heel slaps in the middle paddle. And like this one was a bit risky because of, but it was an up arrow, so he can get away with that. But you have to know when you can and can't get away with. And yeah, if I can go back just one more second. And the other thing is to utilize the brackets. When you don't want to accidentally trigger any of the ups or downs, you have to make sure that your front of the foot is landing on the bracket area. As long as you don't come down with too much force or your toe is not tipped down, you shouldn't be actuating these sensors. So you have to be very mindful of these kind of details. So every time he's jumping there, he makes sure he doesn't trigger any of that. Like his heel's on the bracket there, making sure that he's not going to trigger the up. So even though we are in the southpaw position, you always have to be mindful not to make accidental triggers. You can get away with it if it's just jumps, but once we start getting into streams like this, like if he were to hit this up right here and it's too fast, I can't even catch it. If he were to hit this up right here and accidentally have his heel actuate this, he'd likely get an early good for this upcoming right arrow. So you have to be very mindful that when you're hitting the arrows that you're trying to, your heel or your toe is not accidentally hitting the other arrow that you don't want it to. So how can we prevent that? The best way to prevent that is just to be conscious of what you're doing. Be conscious with your steps. Now it might take starting at a lower BPM, like perhaps you want to play at a lower BPM song and you can kind of process it a lot easier. But as you get better, then you can go to a faster BPM song, and with that in mind, try to prevent that. And you can notice that you can prevent a lot more of that. So yeah, just like here's a perfect example right here. So you can see that even though he just hit that left arrow, he's being mindful to keep his foot, his toe area on the bracket and not to push down accidentally, because if he does, it will accidentally trigger it. So it's very masterful, his technique. This is something I do as well. Most players, we're very mindful of making sure that when we need to, we are not going to accidentally trigger it. So being mindful of your heel and toe placement is very key in the southpaw position. A lot of times when you're getting goods, it's likely misfires because of not doing this technique correctly. So before you chalk up everything to a pad good or a pad miss, you got to be mindful. Like that was I'm surprised he does that, by the way. You can just cheat that. I do a lot more bracketing. Like in this position personally, I would just stomp that left arrow with the bracket, but he actually wants to do that. Okay, more power to him. But for him doing that style, you can see that he's really making sure he's not accidentally triggering that with his left arrow before he goes over there. So very excellent execution. You know, that's why he's one of the best. So that is something to keep in mind with him. So I didn't want to just look at Hibiki. That was just an example. I also wanted to take a look at some other players. The next one I wanted to take a look at was the previous world record on Over the Period Challenge by feats. This was done a few years ago. I think it's almost 3 years ago at this point. Yeah, this was back still on DDR. But by the way, I always wonder why he just didn't quit. Like, he got a grade on the first step. Like his score would be, it would be like a 995 if he just like quit out. Like, okay, whatever. I mean, personally, like if you're going for world records and you're getting any grades in this opening section, maybe like just restart. Okay, that's not here nor there. But we can skip the opening section because honestly not a lot's happening. It's just a timing thing. So, and he's even not going with, he's doing this no bar. One, probably to get a little bit closer so he can actually match up, do the visual matching a little bit easier. And two, like, you know, like, I don't know, just killing time. Now he's getting in the bar position. Now we're actually going to get somewhere. I'm going to make this a little bit easier to see by... Whoopsie. I cannot for the life of me get this. Hello, excuse me. Okay, there we go. Got it. Okay, there we go. That looks a little bit better. Alright, so let's take a look at how Fifems uses his style. So right off the bat, you can see he's standing in the orthodox position. He's getting ready, he's getting primed, and he's doing his count. And I wanted you to look at how he executes crossovers, because there's really no one that I've ever seen that executes crossovers as effortlessly as Fifems does. It must come down to his skills in Pump It Up, but it's quite fascinating to watch how he does crossovers. And you have a second foot cam here that you can see you have an overhead, and this is what I wanted to take a look at. So something that he uses, and I've been finding myself preferring this overall. A lot of people, when they see a crossover like that, they would probably want to use your heel to hit it. Fifems uses his toe. I call these back crossovers. So you can see that when he crosses over, he's using his toe to get that sensor. He does it several times. On this side, he uses his heel with his right foot, but whenever he's doing the crossed right arrow with his left foot, he tends to prefer using his toe. And I've been doing that as well in recent weeks and months, and I have been finding out that I'm getting a lot less pad goods and pad misses. So I wanted to kind of just point that out. I'm not saying that you have to do that, but I will say that Fifems does this effortlessly, and he seems to have very good results. And I've been experimenting with it a little bit, and I would like to say that, you know, it's pretty good. So as you can see, like now he's in orthodox position because the song calls for it, but he quickly switches back to southpaw. And whenever there's patterns that don't really require too much going on, you'll tend to see that players will approach everything with a southpaw in mind. Like he's mostly southpaw during this section. Even if it might call for an orthodox position, he still tends to lean southpaw. And yeah, Fifems, his foot technique is very fascinating because he really utilizes the entire pad, because keep in mind, he's coming from a Pump It Up background, so you'll see him like resting his toes like on the upper left or the upper right all the time, because he's just familiar with the entire pad because he plays Pump and DDR. So something to consider. I haven't had too much experience going with that, but you know, he gets the job done. Alright, besides Fifems, I thought we'll take a look at two more people who are, I feel, have really good form. This one is Chunka with his IX or 9 world record on challenge. This was done a few years ago. It's no longer the world record, but it doesn't take away that this is one of the most impressive scores ever. So we can look at his foot technique. He's orthodox mostly. And you can see the sheer power. Like every time I watch Chunka play, like he's got power, he's got energy, he's got determination. So, but you can see that his movements are like, you know, really good. So I guess this is going to be the time where, oh, I didn't know I'm that quiet. If I'm very quiet, you guys have to let me know. I can turn up my volume. So how about that? It should be a little bit better. Alright, so continuing on, you can see this is where I'm going to start talking about different things. So I have some notes here. I'm gonna kind of tell you about them right now. So in general, what is foot technique and why does it matter how you're stepping? Foot technique, I would say, simply is trying to, one, yield the best results, like marvelous or perfects at least. It's yielding the best results while at the same time doing the minimum amount of movement to do it. So it's a balance between conserving energy yet getting the best marks, because we could all just like totally go just exert ourselves, go full blast, and maybe get some good results. But if at the end of the song or halfway through the song you give up and you can't play anymore after that, is it really a good style? Well, I would say no. You don't want to be in a position where you expend all of your energy and then can no longer continue. What's better is over time fixing your play technique, your style, your footing, and then increasing it slowly over time so that you can get to the levels while still maintaining good form, because ultimately you got to conserve energy. So here's where the next tip comes in, and this is a good angle to take a look at. I'm going to slow it down for you guys. We're going to slow it down a bit, and I really want you to take a look at something in slow motion, and that is well, I want you to look at how high he's actually lifting his feet here. Now, Chunka actually goes a little bit higher than most players that I know at this level, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be focused on your jump height. So even when the jump is coming, he's staying as low to the ground as possible. The reason why they're doing this is to minimize the energy that's being expended. And you can see that in general, I want to draw your attention to this circle. This circle is a good rule of thumb. You'll notice that most steps are either actuated within this circle. So the blue line here, the red line here. Most steps are actuated in between there. There's always exceptions, but in general, good foot technique is never trying to extend past this circle. Exceptions aside, you really want to minimize your travel distance. When you minimize your travel distance, you're doing two things. One, well, you're traveling less, which means that like in a marathon, if you had to go a less distance, you're saving more energy. So you're going to be able to go further by doing that. And two, you can get to the next one quicker. Like I was breaking down someone's a chart last week, their play, and I was noticing how far they were going on the down arrow. Then they'd have to hit a left arrow. The travel distance between that is too great, and it'll affect your timing. If you can keep everything within a circle, you can predict and more consistently get the timing that you're going for. If you're trying to get within the same travel distance between them, and that's what makes candles so hard. Candles are when you have to his left foot is on the up arrow. If the pattern was up, left, down, his left foot would have to travel across the center panel. It might not seem like much, but it's a lot harder to do that than it would say it was an up right left, because the travel distance between the up arrow where he is right now to the left arrow is less than the travel distance to going to the down arrow. It's something you have to consider. This is why candles and crossovers feel so difficult, because the travel distance is increased. You might have never thought about that, but I'm telling you now, and I want you to put that in your mind. Anytime that there's a candle, there's always going to be a greater travel distance, unless your foot's big enough that like your heel and toe is like going to already like match it. Let's see if I can find you a candle. So let's like skip ahead to the song. For those of you who can't recognize a candle pattern. So this is a stream. There's not going to be any candles here. Wow, looks like. Come on, VLC. All right, so you can see like nothing really going on here. No candles. Like those are all perfectly fine. Like these kind of streams are easy because there's no candles inside. Still no candles. No candles. And it looks like this song just doesn't have any candles. Okay, that's not true, but I can't find them yet. And still no candles. Still no candles. Nope, no candles. Still no candles. Okay, you know what? I give up. I'll point it out in the future. All right, so yeah, again, great performance by Chunka. I think that really drives his playstyle home, is that he's just got the power. He's got the energy. He's got the stamina. He's got the speed. He's got the power. Like, I only have great things to say. Watching him play is really fascinating, because I feel that it's like a mixture of power, finesse, and just like I geek over a lot over people's playstyle. All right, let's go. Last one we're gonna look at, and it is the GOAT. It's the GOAT himself. We're taking a look at Chris for Life. And in this video, he's playing Over the Period Expert. And I want to take a look, so similar to FIFEMs, the opening section, he is not. This is more like this song specifically, because we're trying to get a little bit closer so we can match up the arrows a little bit better. And you can see that he's really getting a lot closer and not using the bar yet. He's dancing along, and now the actual song starts. Now we grab the bar. And by the way, for those of you who want to know the counting strategy here, personally, I wait until I see the OK, and as soon as I see the OK, so I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, dun dun dun. So 1, 2, 3, 4, dun dun dun. That's my personal strategy, but hey, you can do whatever works for you. All right, so Chris is very unique, and this I try to pick people that had a bit of a different style. So like Hibiki is like really clean execution in his style. Then we had Fifems, who utilizes the pad like a Pump It Up player would, and his crossover technique. And I chose Chunka because just the raw power of it. And I also chose Chris just to show you that he really breaks my rule. Like, I just told you the rule with Chunka that most of your arrows are going to be hit within the circle, right? Chris doesn't do that. I don't know how he does it. He's like hitting the center of the panels most of the time, but he just does it. I don't know how. That's why he's the GOAT, okay? Let's be honest here. He's the GOAT for a reason. Like, you could make the argument that you can time better by hitting the center panels and, like, you know, feel more connection and actuate more of the sensor. Like, you know, there's that argument, but even with that argument, people won't do it because it takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of, you know, it takes a lot of exertion. But Chris doesn't care. Chris just goes for it. All right, does that mean he breaks all of my rules? No, absolutely not. So he's still by far is standing in the southpaw position whenever he's approaching things, unless the song calls for it. And he does excellent control. That was a good example right there. So, like, being careful not to trigger like the right arrow here when he's hitting the down. So using the bracket techniques, when he's going to the up, he's making sure his heel is nowhere near the right arrow. When he's hitting just a straight left, I can't talk, a straight right, he's making sure his toes are not anywhere that are going to trigger the up arrow. This is how you can really, like, his heel's not going to trigger the down arrow. The way that he's utilizing the pad is flawlessly. It's truly flawless and remarkable. Like, we're even right there, standing on the bracket with his heel to make sure that he doesn't accidentally trigger a down arrow. For those of you who are joining late, I was mentioning that a lot of people who are getting goods or even misses or something like that, a lot of times if you really analyze the video and play back what happened, you'll notice that in fact you probably you hit the arrow but you accidentally triggered it with either your heel or your toe. That's very common. And the only way you can prevent that is by good foot technique. And I was mentioning how you want to make sure that when you're hitting these arrows that you're in a position that's not going to accidentally trigger it. So using the metal dead zones to your advantage is one of the best techniques for your feet that you can have. Just being aware of it. You can start at slower songs, you can start at slower BPMs or easier songs and patterns, but you have to make the conscious thing in your mind to make sure that you're not making accidental triggers. And you can see that this is a different topic, but you can see that Chris is you know, taking a break here, giving his arms a break, switching off, because this part is pretty easy. And yeah, Chris, he always complains about his arms getting tired pretty fast, but yeah, well, I mean, my arms would get tired too if I was carrying around all that muscle, but I mean, hey. All right. Yeah, excellent crossover techniques there. Yeah, we can touch up on crossovers a little bit, but like here, this is the opposite of what Fifems was doing. I showed you before that if this was the pattern for Fifems, he'd likely be using his toe to hit it. It works for both, but I personally am starting to like the toe strategy here because I'm noticing more and more that my right heel is accidentally triggering the right arrow when I'm using my heel to go here. I don't know why, but if I go with my toe, this will keep my right foot on my toe, and then it'll be easier to execute. All right, but all around, really great, really good, great technique. All right, now looking at my notes, I guess, let's see, what else haven't I covered? I wanted to maybe in part of pass on to you guys kind of a philosophy, and that is this. Don't play harder, play smarter. What I mean by that is you could try to, be like Chunka and Chris and like play really hard and just expend all your energy, or you can stop, take a video of yourself playing. Actually watch a video of yourself playing. The way that I get better, and even other players like me, we actually watch videos. We love to see the foot cam because we like to see how do the players step and what are they doing that I'm not doing, and trying to pick off your tips. And besides that, watching your own videos back is one of the best things you can do. You messed up a pattern, watch it back, watch the replay, find out why did you make the mistake. Why didn't you hit it? Did you hit metal? Did you go for the crossover but you didn't go far enough? Okay, then you know the answer. Next time, extend a little bit farther. What happened? You got a good? Watch the video back. You went to hit the up arrow but your right heel hit the right arrow and it gave you a good? Okay, now you know. Be more mindful when that part comes. So watching back your video is going to be one of the greatest allies that you can have in getting better. And this is like, kind of do your own research kind of thing where, like, research it by yourself and figure out why it's not working for you. Try to pick apart, try to analyze, and then you're going to get better. All right, and besides that, like I said, the basic tips: lift your feet minimally. Make sure you're not triggering the brackets. Try to stay inside that circle, that frame of reference that I told you guys about. And conserve your energy. And just make sure overall that you're always working on it. Just keep it in your mind. Try to improve it. And I promise you, you're going to see great improvements. For those who are joining in and we're not too sure what I was talking about, so I was mentioning about the terminology I would like to use going forward, and I'd love to see more players adopt this terminology. Let's just borrow from MMA, boxing, and let's just call it southpaw and orthodox. Most players will play in the southpaw position. So this position is how you're generally going to approach the patterns. And by doing that, we're also going to make sure that, like, we're going to do a lot of double steps by doing that. So, for example, if a pattern's coming up that is an up, right, left, likely what you're going to do is go with your toe, the up arrow, with your toe again, the right arrow, and then your left foot is going to hit the left arrow. So we're making a conscious decision to double step or cheat the pattern. Now, that pattern was meant to be orthodox. Probably when they wrote the chart, they expected you to change your stance to orthodox to do that. But as long as the BPMs are not too high and too wild, likely we can go ahead and keep our southpaw stance. The more longer that you can keep the stance that you're comfortable with, one, you can develop it further. The more that you try to approach patterns in southpaw, if you're a southpaw player like me, the more you'll be able to recognize patterns coming up. You'll be able to realize how you can use your heels and toes on your right and left foot to execute the patterns, and then you can from there build up the speeds, and you can get faster and faster at higher speeds at higher difficulties. Of course, there will be times that you have to change the orthodox stance in order to execute a pattern, like a staircase. I don't know, like Super Maxi Mix comes to mind with like the staircase pattern. Like, for sure you have to be orthodox for that. But the more things that you can execute southpaw, you're going to build up your strength. You're going to be able to execute faster patterns, and you're going to be more comfortable in that position. Doesn't mean you should ignore orthodox stance, but it is something to keep in mind. And as a general rule of thumb, I get asked all the time, like, when do we cross over? When do we double step? This will be the last thing I cover before we welcome on our guest. And when do we double step and when do we cross over is entirely player dependent. Everyone's answer is going to be different. I see people who are still doing double steps at 300 BPM, or should I say 150 16th notes. I would say you really want to get at least to Arrabbiata. Arrabbiata came out in Supernova 2, 2008. and that was the first song that pretty much required double stepping. The chart is not written in a way that realistically you could change your stances like between southpaw and orthodox. You really can't do that anymore. The BPM is 225. I would say that every player should aim to be able to double step at 225 beats per minute. The higher you can go, the better. The higher you can go, the more possibilities open up. If you can get up to 250 or 260, well, if you can get up to 260 and you're double stepping, that's the same as 130 16th notes. So you can go back and revisit some 130 BPM songs, and with that in mind, you can probably cheat and double step some of the 16th notes that are coming up. So the higher you can get your double steppings BPM in, the better off you'll be overall. All right, so that pretty much covers the foot technique. I hope that this was helpful. I hope that I gave you guys some inspiration, and I gave you the tools. Most importantly, showed you the tools that you can use to analyze and break down your own play style, and to do the research with other players, record yourself, and analyze and tweak and improve. All right, so without further ado, we're going to welcome on today's guests. And today's guest is Karl with a K. Karl, are you there? Hello, Karl, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Great. Looks like your webcam is... Oh, there it is. It's working perfectly. All right, and I'm going to give you the center position. All right, Karl, how about you start by introducing yourself? Tell us a little bit about you, how long you've been playing DDR. Give us the general idea.
Okay, so I'm Karl. I've been playing DDR for about 13 years on and off, and I'm sorry, I'm not sure what else you want me to talk about.
Well, what kind of levels are you passing? What are your goals? What are some of your achievements?
So my level is like singles, like I've been passing 18s, like I don't think I haven't passed every 18 yet, though. Like doubles, I just recently cleared my first 18 doubles, and my goals. So right now, like I'm looking at one of my goals being like my first 19 clear. I'm thinking about Paranoid Revolution, and hmm, I'm sorry, what was the third one?
Oh yeah, just what are some of the you told me your accomplishments, you told me some of your goals. I guess that's a good starting point. So I want to ask you, assuming you've been listening to the to the podcast so
Yeah.
far, is there anything I said that maybe opened your eyes or gave you a new outlook or something that you think you can now attribute to your play style?
Hmm. Probably like the thing about like minimizing how much your feet should be going outside that circle, and like some of the like there's also like seeing how often I can stay in southpaw stance, and like what you said about you want to be able to double step arrabbiata.
Yeah. Do you know off the top of your head how fast you can double step? What are some songs you can play and still you're still double stepping?
Hmm. Okay. You might need to give me a minute. I think I definitely remember double stepping PSMO at one point. So at least 290, I guess.
Two nine. That's brutal. Yeah. Wow. If you can double step PSMO, that's oh man. I remember that I double stepped NGO. I believe that's like 274 BPM or something like that when it first came out on Supernova 2. You can even look at the videos of me playing it like 13 years ago, and it was like brand new on Extra Stage. I was one of the only people uploading videos at the time of clearing it. I wasn't even double Aing it because I was double stepping the entire ending because I did not want to do those crossovers. But yeah, it's good stuff. All right, so Karl, I guess we can use this moment. Do you have any other like specific songs that you're struggling with, and specific something you're trying to go for that you think maybe I can help you out with, give you some tips?
Hmm. Not sure if I have anything specific other than like trying to pass Paranoia Revolution,
So I guess
going for my first 19.
I want to ask you, why do you want to pick Paranoia Revolution? I have to be honest, that's not the easiest 19 here.
Hmm. Like honestly, I just thought it was, to be honest.
I'll, I'm gonna personally say Valkyrie's a lot easier if you're mashing the speed up section. And okay, because of the overall BPM, like Paranoia, it's 180 BPM, 360, so
Yeah.
180. And if you want to talk about double stepping, like you pretty much have to double step a lot of those. So we're talking 360 BPM. You're telling me 290. You want to bump it up to 360? Yeah, it's
Hmm.
the difference is very vast. It's a huge difference in technique. And otherwise, you're gonna have to be doing the crossovers, which the chart is written so bad you really can't do the crossovers. Not at least realistically. I don't know.
Hmm.
Personally, I had a lot of trouble with Paranoia Revolution when it first came out. So if you can pass that, I mean, more power to you. What about foot speed? Have you tried maybe like Egoism 440 Expert? Have you passed this song?
I have passed Egoism 40 Expert.
Did you try
Eh,
doing the stream patterns at the
hmm.
end, or did you end up bracketing?
Um, to be honest, I can't remember. I probably bracketed like the first time. Don't remember if I've ever tried like actually doing the stream.
All right, fair enough. Because yeah, Egoism 440 challenge. It's a tall order. It's much harder than Revolution. Well, I will wish you good luck to pass Paranoia Revolution challenge, and you can always
Yeah.
in the future, if you want, you can take a video of yourself playing it, pass or fail. You can send it my way, and I can analyze, break it down, and I can give you some tips about it.
All right. Thank you.
No problem. All right. Before we go, is there any other topics you wanted to talk about before?
Mm, nope. Nothing in particular that I want to talk about.
All right. Well, Karl, I want to say thank you so much for coming on this episode. It's a pleasure to have you. I hope that the tips that I gave you and the lesson in general, the foot technique, just follow my steps, analyze other players' foot techniques, and try to analyze your own, record it, and you're going to notice some
Yeah.
big improvements. Approach things in the
All right.
southpaw position, conserve energy, minimize movements, and you're going to see a lot of improvements.
Yep. Thank you for having me.
No problem, man. You have a good day, and I'll see you next time.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Karl, for a K for coming on. So now what we're going to do is break down some of the user submitted videos that they have sent me. The first one we're going to take a look at is, all right, you guys might remember him. He submitted last time, and I totally don't want to say his name wrong, so I'm going to double check to make sure. But okay, the first one we're going to look at is from Voltrum. He's currently a Life 4 Diamond 2, and he submitted his first clear on a 19. Congratulations. Sorry, fourth clear. Oh my god. I saw TH. I thought, and 4 kind of looks like 1. His fourth clear on 19. You're almost through all the 19s, so congratulations. So he's doing the FIFEM strat of 3x, and then no sudden plus, blah blah blah. And he did the mashing in there. All right, so he wants some more tips and tricks to get better. So I'm gonna start off right away by telling you that he does not do this on the regular turn mod, and in fact, I can't really tell. I can't really tell which turn this is on. Let me make sure that the video is lined up. Yes, it is. All right. Let's take a look. So right off the bat, he's on a turn mod. I think it starts with a right arrow, so this must be right. I think he's on right. Did he tell me what he was on? No, I don't know which turn mod it is. Can you tell me which turn mod it is? Voltroom, are you here? Ah, no. Okay, well, I'll do my best to analyze the technique. So right off the bat, we can see that the steps are different, but he's doing just fine as it is. And he told me that he did follow my tips from last week to look down at his feet when it comes to the bracketing section. So let's see how he does, and I'll see if there's any other tips I can give him. Let's take a look. All right, not bad, not bad at all. You're getting most of the marks. Like when we're bracketing, we're hoping for greats, perfects, and marvelous. You know, the lower amount of goods and misses that we can get, the better we're off. The better off we are. All right, so how can we improve this? So last week I mentioned that when you're going to bracket, if you're absolutely just bracketing, look down at your feet. Like try just looking at your feet. Make sure that you're making contact every time. All right, so what I noticed was when you started off how I would bracket. So what I mean by that is you're actually doing two steps, just left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. You can see the pattern. You're doing left, right, left, right, left, right. But as it goes on, now you're going heel, toe, and what I'm seeing is that your toe on the left is a little bit too much held down. It's probably still being pressed at some of these arrows, so you're more likely to get misses on the left arrow in this position. Like only your heel is really making contact here. So what I would suggest is try for the entire section. Don't go heel toe. Try doing the two steps. So 1 2 1 2 1 2. If you're going heel toe, I feel that it's a lot less predictable. It's not going to get you the results that you're hoping for more consistently. I suggest there's definitely times where you want to go heel toe if you know a specific thing is coming up, or if you know there's more ups or rights or lefts or downs. But in general, if you're bracketing, I recommend doing just like jumping it. All right, so to go through it, I'm not going to go through the entire chart because one, it's really hard for me to break it down because you're using a turn mod, but I can at least analyze your footing. And what I'm seeing is overall, it's pretty good. Like for someone who's just starting to clear the 19s, overall the foot placement's pretty good. How you're holding the bar, how you're approaching it, it's good. I just honestly think you're making it harder for yourself. When I'm looking at these steps are way harder. I can't imagine that you would want to do these. All right, then I did want to look at this part real here. So if you want to prevent some of these dropped holds, I noticed that you get like at least 1, 2, we're talking at least 3, 4 dropped holds. Keep in mind, everyone, holds are worth double a perfect, okay? We're talking double. So if you're missing a hold, it's really going to kill your score, okay? Like holds are the most important thing that you have to hit and hold until the end. If you miss it, it's detrimental to your score. So how can you hold it and keep it here? So what I want you to imagine, so notice how you're here. You should be southpaw right now with your heel over the right arrow. You shouldn't have gone all the way to the middle. Why? Because now that you're here, you have to take it off to come here, and which is going to result in you getting that mishold right there, right? So what I suggest, instead of going all the way, I want you to just, let's see if I can pause it. No. Right there. Try to just step right there. Keep your toe planted, and then when the right arrow comes, don't let go of your toe, but just slap your heel down on the right arrow. You'll keep it, and then you'll get both of those, including the hold. So once again, where's the next hold that you miss? The next hold that you miss is this one. Yeah, right here. So here, you want to keep your heel on the down arrow right there. So once you hit that down, try to hit it in this corner right there, and then when the right arrow comes, just tap your toe over here to hit it. You'll keep the hold and you'll get that, and then you can move over here. And then lastly, this one, you see? Once again, it's a down, the left is coming, so we want to put our heel, position our heel right here in the corner, And then when that comes, because look, you're lifting it up, for sure you're going to miss it. For sure you're going to miss it. Alternatively, one thing you could do is when that comes, just lift up briefly, do a bracket jump with the down left, and then keep it on the down. You can't be missing the holds. Like right off the bat, if you would have kept those 3 freeze arrows, your score would have been higher by at least probably 10,000. We're talking like a 10,000 score increase just by focusing on that. And then lastly, like I saw you went for the jump. You got to use more brackets. So similar to this section right here, I want to see you use more brackets because this is a perfect bracket setup. I don't know what turn mod you're using, but I'm seeing down, up, down, and then an up, right. Oh my God, the bracket is set up. Once this comes here, you should be bracket jumping with your right foot on the up and the right. So that should be a bracket jump right there. All right, those were the really main points I want to look at. Like overall, it looks like your position is pretty good. I just want to see you utilize a little bit more bracket jumps. Like there was another bracket jump you could have done right here. It's like you're in southpaw position. Now, back to like the southpaw position. It takes more energy to change to orthodox. So when you change to the orthodox by doing this, then you're going to end up going back to your southpaw position later. It's going to expend more energy. If you would have bracket jumped this with your right foot, and then you could just left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot, bracket jump, left foot, jump, jump, jump. You would have kept the same positions, conserved more energy, lower your travel distance, all that good stuff. And then here, I did see you get like a miss early on. Try not to, you don't want to miss a freeze arrow. The only thing worse than dropping a freeze is missing a freeze arrow. So, that's something to consider. And for the rest of the song, you just seem a little bit tired out, which is understandable. If you're just passing whatever you're passing, then it's going to be just hard to even stay alive. So it's getting sloppy overall, but I can tell that you're winded, and I'm not faulting you. There's still songs that do that to me. But this section this is the only part that looks better without the turn mod. And then I would say that I always bracket in the southpaw position, but you could bracket in the orthodox position. And one thing that you can do with the brackets, you can, even though the brackets are definitely not going to get you the best results, you can at least get like the first 2 arrows. So when I see this pattern coming up, I'd probably go orthodox. So then I can for sure guarantee perfect marvelous on the up and the right, and then I'll bracket until the end. So like you started a little bit too soon. You see, like you're already getting a good, like that first step should be a free. That first step should be a marvelous or a perfect, because that's like the only one that you can guarantee. So you went a little bit too soon. You're a little quick to the gun there. But overall, you did pretty good in the bracketing at the end. Like, for bracketing, that was pretty good. And then you made sure to hold it down at the end, so you got it. All right, congratulations on passing your 4th 19. I hope my tips helped you. I hope next time you play it, you're going to have a little bit of a better time. All right, next up, we have a song that is the Red Cape Theorem. And this person gets 1 great. Ah, boy, you hate to see that. And this person, because I'm saying person because I don't have their name in front of me. I should have wrote it down. Struggling here. Yeah. Nope, that's not it. Did they DM me this? Some people DM me there. Nope, it's not that one. Nope, it's still not that one. Interesting. Okay, well, I'm just gonna have to take the L on this one. Hold on. Epic PFC choke. I'm just gonna type that into Twitter and see if I can find it. Yes, I found it. Okay, this is Kazai, the next legend. And they are looking for any pointers for stamina conservation and any pointers that's going to help them to PFC this song. Well, I am more than happy to help you out. Let's take a look at what we got here. So, right off the bat, skip on ahead. So right off the bat, I see pretty much. You have good footing. You have good. Hold on, let me skip to the end real quick. Just wanted to see what your MA was like, because your MA is quite fantastic actually. You have no issues in the part. You have your timing is phenomenal. That's what I want to say right off the bat. So your timing is phenomenal. It's a bit dark here, but I can tell that you're being mindful of the brackets. You're not like triggering anything you shouldn't be triggering, and just your timing. So let's keep watching. I'll point out anything I noticed. The one thing I'm noticing right off the bat is that your right foot tends to go a little bit deep on the down arrow. Like you're up. Look at the difference here. Your up is like within that circle. Look at your right foot. Your right foot is 3/4 of the way down on this arrow. I want to see more of your heel trying to get within this circle. Try to make the travel distance right there was a little bit great. You can notice it. Look back. So we're here, and then we're gonna travel all the way. Like we're climbing down the down arrow. I want to see more minimization on your right heel on the down arrow. Besides that, the form is pretty tight. Your right arrow, your up arrows, like they're very tight. And even your left foot on the down is pretty good. Your left foot is actually staying within the circle. You see that? Your left foot is staying there. Still staying within the circle, but every time your right heel's coming down, you're overextending it. You're going further than you need to, and that's probably what's tiring you out. You know, you said that you wanted to get stamina improvements. I think that your right leg is doing a bit too much work. Your left foot is like pretty concentrated between these two, but your right leg is going between the up, the down, the right, the left, and the travel distance is not helping. When I see this travel distance, I say yikes. I say you're doing more than you have to be doing. So you got to tighten up just your right heel on the down, and I think you're going to save a ton of energy just by making those micro changes. But yeah, in the orthodox position, the southpaw position, you are going to in general be hitting most of the arrows with your right foot because it's going to be the up, the right, and the down. But yeah, that's it. And if I could, yeah, I want you to notice how you're standing more upright here, and then as we go further into the song, there's a shift in your height. So you're definitely getting tired. You're getting more winded here. Yeah. But overall, like your timing, your MA is quite good. You could cheat that, by the way. Like you're doing the crossover there. If you utilize the brackets like I was helping the last person, I believe that you can save a bit of stamina there. I would hit that with my right foot toe and then heel that right arrow. That's what I would do. It saves a little bit of stamina. Yeah. Right there. Like that could also be a reason. Let me tell you how I do this section, because I remember getting this section for the MFC. I make sure that where you got your grate, after I hit that left arrow with my left foot, I go to my left foot for the down. Yes. You went with your right foot. Next time when you get to combo 495, go with your left foot. When you finish, your right foot will be on the top here. Your right foot will be here. And that left and down are going to be hit freely with your left foot, no problem. And this is close enough that you can drop it and change without breaking it. So that's what I use there. So like if you played it exactly the same and you follow that tip, just for this arrow, start it with your left foot on the down. Finish it so that your right foot is there. By the way, there's a fix that you can do. If you fucked up and you are in this position, what I would do to change it, when this arrow comes, I'm going to do a jump where I'm going to do an up left jump. So I'm going to jump and then change my right foot to the up arrow, and then my left foot is going to land on that arrow. So you can still fix it if you messed it up, but that'll give you a better position because this is a lot harder to time. We all know that doing this kind of thing is a lot harder to time. So and I recommend just keeping in the southpaw position because you went orthodox and it cost you. You see, going orthodox cost you in this case. All right, so follow those tips. I think you're going to have a lot better time. I hope that was helpful. All right, I think we can do one more today. I'm actually pleasantly surprised. I got a lot more requests than I thought I would last minute. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to roll over some of the requests that I got to next week. So we'll do one more analyzation now, and then we're going to do the rest maybe next week. And here's a surprise for you. Next up is Max 300. Done on DDR Supernova. And no, this isn't an old video. This guy just uploaded it a few days ago. The idea that there's still people playing on DDR Supernova in 2021 is just blowing my mind. We're talking 15 years ago. 15 years ago, and there's people still playing DDR Supernova. And, like, I mean, I have nothing bad to say. I'm just shocked, okay? I'm shocked. All right, so we have this fine fellow over here. I believe his name is Jams. Let me double check that for you. Yeah, so Jams, whatever he prefers, he's looking for this. He wants to look at stamina tips. He's saying that he's having a bit of a trouble with his stamina. The breakdown for the song, let's see, he ends up getting 417 perfects, 127 greats. Then we go to 4 goods and almost 6 boos, and his max combo is 330. So this is what I noticed right off the bat. This kid has the fundamentals. And by that, when we watch him play, we start off strong. I'm seeing mostly perfects. Mostly perfects are flashing on the screen right here. And even the opening section, it does it effortlessly. So if you're getting the kind of scores, if you're finishing with the result that what I just announced to everyone, then yes, stamina is your biggest problem. Because right now, you're absolutely on AA potential. How you're doing the opening section, you're doing it. The only reason why you won't be able to AA it is if stamina is getting in your way. So that is absolutely the truth. So pretty good though. And I'm also noticing that these are socks. I think those are just socks. Interesting. Well, right off the bat, I'm noticing you're having the opposite problem that of our last guest, and that is your left foot. Your right foot is pretty good on the down arrow, but your left foot is traveling pretty far. Your left foot travel distance is a lot farther than any of your others when you're hitting the down. Your left foot is definitely coming a lot farther down on the down arrow than your right foot is. Your other arrows are pretty good. Like this is acceptable range, acceptable, but then once we go to the left foot to the down arrow, look at that. Once we go to our left foot on the down, you're overreaching. You're expending more energy than you have to, than you should be doing. And that was kind of just weird. Are you trying to hit that with your oh, okay, no, never mind, that's fine. But yeah, it's really your left foot. Your left foot's going a little bit too far. You're expending more energy than you have to be. So up until now, you've been full comboing it. It's looking pretty decent. Still getting majority marvelous, or sorry, perfects, because supernova. Still getting majority perfects, and we're going into the triplet section. There we go. All right, so now we got this funky beat going on. And this is where I'm really starting to see you're getting tired. So up until now, I could definitely tell that you have some command, some control over it. But like once we get to this section, you're looking gassed out, and the score marks that you're getting is reflecting that. And then this one, it's like really, you're just struggling. By this point, you're getting a lot sloppier. So that was your miss, by the way. Your left foot couldn't make it up to the up arrow in time. That's how you got your miss, if you're curious. And during these kind of stream sections, you're still overextending, which is going to, and this time you even did it on the left arrow. See, your left is kind of starting to slink a little bit too far outside the acceptable range. So you're winding yourself out, and then you're here. Now I noticed that you have a funky way of timing this, and I'm not going to really pass judgment on how anyone times the Max 300, because if anyone's watched me play it, I do it a really funky way. But I'm not sure what you're doing, but all I can tell you is it's not working. So my line for Max 300 is do it whatever you want. Like, do it however you like to do it, whatever works for you. Just make sure it works, okay? Make sure that it's consistent. Make sure that it can be replicated. Like, a lot of people have different ways of counting it, and that's totally fine. But whatever way you end up choosing, make sure you can get a consistent result. So whatever you are doing here, I'm not sure if it works half the time, but it definitely didn't work this time. So maybe alternate it and really take time to have a break. Like, I see you give yourself one arm break. Why not two? Like, if you're gonna take a break, like, really enjoy it. Like, get a counting method in your head. Step off the bar for get your hands off the bar. Why are you doing an extra jump? You know, don't, like, this is like your break. This is like your 4-second break. Take full advantage of your 4-second break. And then do your count, and then we're kicking into high gear for the last like 30% of the song. So it's just gonna nonstop hit you. Yeah, it's still with the down arrow going a little bit. That was a very, very far overextension on the down. You see that? Like, you're almost hitting the metal on the other side. Your entire foot is on the down. You really want to just relegate your heel to hitting the down arrow with your left foot. Your right foot's doing a far better job at it. You're coming too far out there. So yeah, there we go. We're coming to the ending. You're switching styles, which is fine there. And then for the final stream, so you're doing the side crosses, which is pretty advanced. Not a lot of people opt to do that. But the problem with yours is, so you didn't get the second one to register. So one, you see, you went a little bit too quick. Didn't have enough time to release. So you're on it, and then you're still on it. So you didn't get it there. Now, one thing we can do to avoid that, you don't really want to go too far outside, because look at your travel distance. You're basically in the center of that pad, and then you're jumping all the way over, even further than the center on this pad. So if you're thinking that you don't have enough time to deactivate this, if you would have stepped more on the inside, it would have gave you, a few extra milliseconds to do the adjust. But like in this entire part, you got 2 misses because even your second step, you were still down. So you're down. It never got a chance to release. Try to get it up a little bit higher, a little bit quicker. And the ending 7, I think you did a much better job. You did a much better job. All right, so yeah, you definitely look tired. You look winded, but I'm glad you're happy with the score. And I'll be happy if you take some of the tips that I gave you and improve it. I'm just getting information that the up arrow on the pad is less sensitive. Well, that's a hardware issue. If possible, I highly recommend you talk to the staff, you talk to whoever you got to talk to, and you get that fixed, because the better your pads. We want to never let the excuse be the pads. This will probably be covered in a future video. We don't want to ever give excuses like, oh, it's the pad's fault. I'm getting pad misses. The pad's not sensitive. I don't ever want any player to have to use the excuse. Does this problem exist? Yes, but it's our job to minimize this. We have to be proactive at getting arcade staff and the franchises to modify and improve the pads. And I think that if we do this, it's going to result in just like better all around. So yeah, all right, that's all I got then. So I guess we are going to wrap up today's episode. Oh, hey, that's me. I guess I'll give maybe 1 or 2 minutes. If anyone has who's watching now has a question regarding today's topic, I would like to hear it. I will try to answer it. I'll give you guys a minute. But just to recap, today we talked about foot technique. I told you the difference between southpaw and orthodox, how you want to make sure that you're minimizing how high you're lifting your feet. You want to make sure that you're not accidentally triggering arrows you don't want to be triggering by utilizing brackets, and making sure that your heels and toes are not hitting an arrow when they should be hitting a dead zone, a bracket, or the metal. And I talked about how you want to make sure that yeah, you're conserving energy, you're minimizing travel distance, and in general, you're just trying to conserve. And the best way to improve would be to watch the players that you think do a great job. If you think a player is doing really well and they have videos, watch them. You know, if they're doing a pattern very well and you want to be the same, see how they're doing it, try to execute it. And the best thing you can possibly do, record yourself playing, okay? Record your feet, see how you're doing it. If you play a song and you finish and you're like, hey, why did I get a miss here? Why did I do this? Watch the video back. And you might be surprised how many times you catch yourself doing bad foot technique that is resulting in the results that you don't want to get. Alright, so that's going to wrap up today's episode. It's a bit shorter than last time, and I didn't get to cover everyone's videos. If I did not cover your video this week, please wait. I will try to get to it next week. Let's see. Yeah, and we'll leave it there. So thank you very much for watching. I don't see any questions, so that's it. I'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to like, thumbs up the video, subscribe, and follow me on Twitter, whatever. All right, have a good day. It's Saturday for most of you. Tomorrow's Sunday. Get in a good night's sleep and hit the arcades. You know, play. That's your homework. Just play. All right, guys, take care, and I'll see you probably next week. I'm going to try to make this weekly. No promises, but I'll try to make this weekly. All right, guys, see ya. Peace.